And welcome back to Sullivan's Backstage Pass. I'm here with Geebs.
Hey.
Geebs, first of all, before we begin, right, and I kind of told you about on stage, but one of the things I like to start off with every podcast is talk about why I have you on the podcast.
Cool.
And that's because when I saw you perform, you got on stage and you kind of had this surprise outfit reveal. Where you were wearing these comfortable clothes sort of over everything. And then when it was time to perform, you're like, boom, it's time.
Yeah.
And the entire time from the first note until the end note, the amount of energy and professionalism, you could tell you put in the work. And what a show it was for me to watch.
Wow, brother.
So,
Come
yeah,
on. Thank
right?
you.
Well, it's deserved. You can tell you've been doing this and you've mastered because you've the work that you put in. How did you get started in music in the first place?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think because both of my parents, and I have no idea which camera I'm supposed to be looking at. So
this one right here.
That one. Okay. So I would consider myself bicultural upbringing, meaning both of my parents come from Colombia, but I was born in Alaska. I know. Brother, I don't know if we have time for that one. But anyway, yeah. And so my dad played percussion in a band with his brothers. And they made a few 45s in the 50s. But I grew up with a lot of music. And it was Beethoven. And it was Heart. And it was AM radio. And it was salsa music. But the culture is very much from a child. Come on, come dance with me. There is no shame about moving your body. And if you feel it, just go. So I think having that, it was a no-brainer. Drawing, coloring, dancing, singing, making jokes. Hey, look at me. Kind
I
of
love that.
And yeah, my sister and I was very much apart together. That we just put on little shows as kids do, and just no filter, meaning we're not afraid to express.
And I love that story because some cultures train you or teach you to be reserved and not sort of free with your body and your movement. And I think that's such a disservice for kids.
Right.
Just that opportunity to just dance and be in the moment is
Right.
so grounding and teaches so much.
It truly is.
So then as you transition, right? Yeah. So how did you get the bug to be on stage?
Yeah. So, I played the recorder in second grade and I was awful at it. I didn't like it. And then they gave me this gigantic acoustic guitar. And I remember being terrified because we were going to go to a special home where folks had cerebral palsy or they were missing limbs. And I had never been in that environment. My mom's like, don't stare. And I'm like, of course. And I think I was 8, but this guitar was gigantic. And they had me singing Jingle Bells in Spanish. So it's cascabel, whatever. And all of the folks, they were really close to me. They just lit up. They didn't need to know what I was saying. They knew the melody, right? And I think at that moment, there was a little connectivity, and that really excited me as a kid. And it was just me and this guitar, just playing horribly, of course. But I was on pitch with the note, and my guitar teacher says, I don't know if you want to keep going with guitar, but you really should keep going with your voice. And then junior high, singing, cheerleading. Hello, that's a real stretch for me. Yeah, of course I was a cheerleader. Always on top. Yeah. She's 100 pounds. Throw her up there. Anyway, but that expression of theater and singing, it really, really excited me. And it felt at that point at 18 or 19, it was just natural.
And I do want to circle back though, right? Because I run in a lot of disability advocacy circles, and just that moment kind of made me tear up a little bit. Because from the flip side, just to have that moment where nobody's treating you as an other, and just to be able to be a part of that music, and it doesn't matter to the level. I always musicians, please consider doing that sometimes.
Absolutely.
Senior homes, disability homes, bring access to music there,
right?
Because a lot of them can't access here.
Right.
So, that is such amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you stuck with it.
Absolutely. And I just really imprinted on me having that connection and just the joy that it brought for those people for 3 minutes or however long the song was. And the smile, I don't know, it just really imprinted on me. And so I really enjoyed doing it for that purpose. Yeah.
And so then you're in high school. Somebody's like saying, I wanted to keep doing with your voice. Like,
well, yeah, that's when I was like 8 or 9. But then in high school, there was a lot of great singers, and I was learning how to harmonize. But I really enjoyed being the lead. I was, hey, look at me, jazz hands, yeah. All very natural, though. I was not putting on anything, and so I went to Mount Hood Community College to study music and theater. And all of a sudden, music, theory, I mean, all these people, musicians, friends that I know to this day, they've like studied. They were having a good time, but they studied. I did not want to. I was having too much fun in theater, expressing myself. And I started doing shows, music theater. What? I can sing, I can act. And I shifted to theater. Which I think helps me to this day on stage. I see a lot of theater when I look at James Brown, Prince, Taylor Swift, whoever, I see it. And that really resonates with me. I do not believe I would be able to sit and do this interview with my hands to my side. I do not believe I'd be able to sing without moving something on my body. It's just, did I answer the question?
100%, 100%. And that's interesting, right? Because like I have a couple of friends who think and hear in music. I would imagine that your body communicates through music.
It is the same way.
Yeah, fascinating.
It is the same way. Yeah, I think when people do video, I can see my foot hitting like 1, 2, 3, 4. I get 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's doing on the 2 and the 4 and and I'm not a drummer and I would never be able to be, but it is just this natural ability. And when the bass line does something and then the drums and when all of those instruments come at me, I'm like, yeah, I just can't help but just like light up and go. And I've never tried to curb that because I think if I did, it would be so unsatisfying for me. It's like blocking or muting something physically that I just, why would I? Yeah.
Almost like putting a nozzle at the end of a hose.
Yeah.
You're just
all that
pressure. Yeah.
Right.
And so then you were talking to me about like how you got sort of like into a front person on a band.
Yes, absolutely.
So how did you make that transition? Like, okay, you're singing, you're like this, but like now you're on stage and you're in charge.
Right.
Like, how did that start?
Well, okay. So I was studying at Mount Hood Community College and I was highly inebriated at a college house party singing Prince's Erotic City. I won't sing it here, but you know the part. And anyway, this guy's like, hey, you're really good. And I'm like, sugar, I know I am, just so full of myself of 19. And he said, no, you're really good. I have a friend who's looking for a singer. And I'm like, oh. And I connected with Harry Billings. If you're still out there, I would love it if you'd instant message me or something. But Harry gave me my start because I went over to his home and I saw all these amps. And I'm like, whoa, this is like a real musician who's doing this for a living. I'd just been hanging around students. And so I sang some songs and he's like, oh, do you know? And I'm like, yes, do you know? Yes, do you? I just knew all this FM radio, popular stuff. He's like, how far do you go to your back? I go, till the 60s. And he's like, so he started, it was some sequencing, meaning it was pre-recorded, but then we had all live musicians as well. And that was a trip to, I'd never heard of karaoke and I wouldn't consider that karaoke, but it's pre-recorded. So every single song ended the same exact way every time. There was no deviation. And that was a good thing and sometimes a bad thing. When I start to go to blues jams, I'm like, coming out of that environment. Sorry, I'm going a little past the thing.
Apologize for nothing.
Okay.
This is exactly what this podcast is about. We just go wherever nature takes us.
Right on. I like that. So it was, I was making $1.85 an hour wearing a horrible outfit at this country's best frozen yogurt and going to school. And then I made like $189 a week singing 4 or 5 days. And I got to wear outfits. Are you kidding? I did not know what it meant to be a front person. He never told me what to do. I just grabbed the mic and I just did it. And he was like, okay, well, you're fine. And I think I just started to learn as, the second set goes on. Oh, people start to get drunk. Okay. Oh, I was 19. And I learned how you work with the business, the club owners, how all of that. And then I was also on the road. So I had 4 brothers, pretty much. But I was the girl, so I got my own room. I just thought I had arrived at making $180 a week, doing the Red Lion circuit.
I love it.
I just thought it was great. I hadn't gotten into any of some of the negative things that can happen with rock and roll. They treated me so kindly and so sweetly. I was underage, so I had to sit outside. And I had these men that were like 40 years old. It seemed so old at the time. Hey, baby. And I'm like, right. But even that is part of the club bar scene.
Yeah.
And I have all the respect for people who are going and studying music in college and teachers and all that. But that application of actually in a club and understanding that culture, I could only learn doing it on the road.
100%. There's no substitution for that.
Right.
That's not something you can just learn in the classroom. You actually have to get on stage and do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
And so one of the things I'm curious about is because like blues is one of those genres that you go into because it calls to you in some way or another. So what was it about the blues that called you to be in the blues?
The transition from popular music of the 80s and 90s, I had gone into another band just 2 years later. I was 21. This was a band where everybody partied, and I mean partied. And I don't know, maybe I did feel a little bit of pressure, but I started to drink. I have 29 years of sobriety in September.
Congratulations.
But at the time, thank you. But at the time, I didn't know what I was doing. And so I felt this pressure to kind of drink. And when you introduce booze or drugs, boy, the brain just shifts. At first I thought, oh, I'm sounding so good. And I'm like listening to tapes going, I was so sharp. I was so flat because those inhibitions are being lost. I feel the quality what I did went down. And it took me, it wasn't until the age of 29 that I realized I had a drinking problem and I had to stop. But in that band, I still learned a heck of a lot. I would not undo any of those years.
100%.
Because that wasn't the Red Lion circuit, baby. That was actual clubs in Canada, Washington, Oregon, California, and the Red Lion circuit is different than actual clubs. And different sizes when you only have 20 people in the club, when you have 200 people in the club. And me, as this person who kind of really vibes off of the audience, it taught me my own skill set of what I could get away with. And sometimes being a small stature, you are not considered threatening. And if you come at it with this barracuda smile I have, all these teeth, just most of the time people are like, she's harmless. What does she want to do? So they're a little more forgiving and they're, okay, I'll go with you. Yeah, let's go dance. That type of thing. But I learned that on the road. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think a lot of people may not understand that might actually be a safety mechanism.
Oof.
Right on, like, because
there.
when I find like myself who has a disability and I couldn't defend myself out of a paper bag at this point, I've learned over the years how to change the way I interact with people and my demeanor, kind of as a safety skill.
So true,
with the
Sean.
unintended consequence of it filters out people who aren't kind, because if you're kind, people who are also kind will find you.
Right.
And people who aren't kind will be like, oh, you're kind, you're sweet, I can't manipulate you. I'm going to move on to the next.
Right. Very smart. Great astute. I'm glad you said that.
And so,
back to the blues.
Yeah.
How did I get there? So I ended up taking a couple years off because I needed to dry out. I needed to figure out that I had a drinking problem. All that took me a couple of years. I actually started dating a blues musician, and he said, "Why don't you come down?" And I had friends like, "Why don't you?" And I'm like, I know of blues music, but I really don't. Why don't you learn Bonnie Raitt's Love Me Like a Man in the key of E? And I listened just like I learned top 40 music. And I was so scared because there wasn't anybody in the club, and I was like singing it underneath the table. I was just sitting there trying to sing this song. And as I found my voice in that music and what she was saying, that's when I could relax. I was so used to this, chicka, 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 this pop stuff. And this blues had this groove of sensuality and of realness, heartache, maybe lifelong suffering, or maybe you're just brokenhearted. But all of that seemed to paint much more of a picture that affected me deeper than pop music. I love pop music, don't get me wrong. But the blues is the foundation for pop music. I mean, it truly is. So it was that jam. And then he knew of someone who wanted to start a band. Oh, I know a singer. And that's how it started. And then it was very much blues, a couple of blues bands after that. And that's when I saw this amazing blues scene in my very own town that I had no clue of. So, yeah.
And then how did you take the next evolution, right? Because now you're with the Infatuation, right? The
Infatuation.
The Infatuations.
Yeah, yeah.
I've always struggled with that particular word. I don't know why.
There's a lot of vowels.
Balaclava, whatever. those
baklava?
are the two. Yeah, that's
it's delicious to eat, but we can't say it.
Say it. But how did you get into the Infatuation?
Yeah, I think probably about 10 years ago, I made the jump from being the hired gun, meaning being the lead vocalist, to being a band leader. And that, for me, that took a long time to figure out. I don't have it was listening to some negative talk, like Nayibe, that's my real name, Nayibe. I'm like, Geebs, you're just giving yourself some negative talk. And Mike Zilas, who is the keyboard player for this band, and some other musicians were at a house party, and we sang, and it was like, you guys need to get a band. And that was called Ma Fondue. It was funky. We had different versions of folks, all amazing musicians that I'm all friends with today. And that was the first step of who's going to book it. And everybody's like, and I'm like, okay, apparently that's me. And I really, truly didn't know, but I was going to clubs and I'm like, hey, and so learned how to navigate that space to book the band. I was not very good at social media. I still have to get better with it, and just kind of understanding that whole scene. But that was the first iteration of having, and we had that band for 6 years. 6 years, yeah, great band, amazing. I am so blessed. I didn't finish college. I do not know how to read music. I do not know how to write music. I mean, if you put sheet music in and gave me the first note, perhaps I'd be able to. But I'm not truly taught in that way. It's been me on a swing set at 4 years old and 5 years old singing to the AM radio, like band on the run, band on the run. I mean, I just learned, and then here comes the bass and the drums. And that showed me the structure of a song. It's like follow the bouncing ball, follow the vocal ball, and then deviate. Because whatever the band does, all of a sudden I'm going to feel something different. And that's a real cool place to be.
And that's one of those things too, where I tell people, like, no two journeys in music are the same. And some brains need the notes and the scales and all that stuff. Other brains, they can just figure it out. And I don't think one is wrong or one
Correct.
is not.
No way.
Like, if you can produce the music that you're producing, good for you. Keep producing.
Yeah.
Like, that should be the celebration of, like, people and music.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, I apologize for saying this 50 million times, folks, but I do think that music is like that one rare miracle that happens on stage.
Wow.
Because you have like 5 to 6 people on stage, all with different life experiences, along with the crowd. And then for some reason, for 3 minutes and some odd seconds, we're all on the same plane. We're all feeling the same energy. We're in the same space.
That's right. That's right.
Outside of music, I don't know where that exists.
Maybe in some sort of team sport or team activity, that's a physical thing. but I'm biased because I get to do it. I have the privilege of doing it. Yeah. And I think the big thing is to remember, we're not robots. Haha. We're not AI. What we ate for dinner or what we ate for breakfast is going to affect the performance tonight, right?
100%.
Did I skip breakfast? Am I cranky? Do I eat something and now my diaphragm and stomach is all out to here and now I have to use am I going to be like farting and crop dusting on stage now because I ate too much? I mean, but I'm a human. And that's the whole point. And I think, I think I deviated from that.
No,
but anyway,
not at all.
It's just, I completely agree with you. 100%.
And so one of the things I love to ask artists too when they come through here is just about how important it is for all of the band members to get along. And this is more for those people who are just starting out in music, right?
Yeah.
I want people to understand from a musician's perspective,
Sure.
how important is it to come to the table with respect for everyone involved?
Well, I think you come together because you either dig the music, you like the idea of the concept or the concept of the band, or maybe you just need the money. And I've been there. I need the money. In my 20s and 30s, holy moly, I needed the money. And I'll sing whatever. But I think for long term, there needs to be an understanding. I mean, I've been in a band where our bass player, Ben Rougeot, he died of cancer at 37. And that of course it changes the dynamic, but up until and seeing him go through what he went through with his family and everything, those are specific moments in your life that you can't just do with, I don't know, someone who's just filling in or subbing that night. They're not going to understand the dynamic of the band. So it is very important that you can understand where someone's at in their life. I mean, I have folks in my band that have, 40 years difference in the band, right? And different experiences. But at the same time, we all come together because of the music. And, respecting that someone is still going to college, respecting that someone is this major principal at a architect firm and is maybe thinking about retiring sometime. I mean, it's so different, but then trying to kind of navigate that and make that all it's a challenge, but it's important, right? It's important.
And I like that you say that too, because I think a lot of people tend to forget that a lot of musicians don't make enough money to not have day jobs.
Right.
And so if you don't have that sort of level of respect for because I have to eat first, and then as long as I can eat, then I can
keep a roof over my head.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And so my next question is sort of like around the live performance piece, right? Because one of the things that I appreciate about your band is that you don't over volume the room, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So why is it important for artists to pay attention to volume when they're going to put on a show?
Yeah, that's a really good one. I personally, I'm a dancer, not necessarily a professional one, like I wasn't trained. But when I go to a club to dance, whether it's piped in music or probably it's a live band, if it hurts my ears, that is unpleasant. That is just physically unpleasant. If someone is too loud, I cannot, I'll probably leave. I'll say hi to my friends and then I would have to, or if they're musicians that I know, I would respectfully say something to them. But I think most people are aware of that. So I'm going to answer that question as a dancer because I don't want people to be in pain. I want them to be able to enjoy it. You need to have volume. You need to have, certain instruments, you need to have all the instruments leveled out. Yeah, and a sound man or a sound person is so important, whether it's someone in your band who goes outside to actually check, hey, the guitar needs to come up or come down, or I can't hear Geebs, or whatever. It is very crucial. I don't think I really get any credit. That would be Larry McCoy. He's a guitar player. He's the one who helps with that. But that's another skill set to have, to be able to go out in the audience, hear your band playing, and knowing what needs to come up or down so that it fills the room appropriately. Yeah.
I love that. So I want to take a journey back, right? So think about like all the times on stage.
Okay.
Can you remember a time where you were like, you got done with a performance and you're like, oh, I just nailed it.
Oh, just nailed it.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were going to say the other one.
Oh, no, I don't do that here. No, we never talk the negative.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Like a performance that sounds like that's my favorite performance I ever did.
I'm going to cry. That's all right. So we were playing with Ma Fondue at a place called Christmas Valley, Oregon. It's Southern Oregon. It's a festival. And our bass player, Ben Rougeot, just had some really intense surgery where they had to take a portion of his jaw out. The brother was lit up like a Christmas tree with tumors. He was so very, very sick. We didn't know that he was going to pass, I think, a month later. He was really sick. And I had gone, we were staying in a hotel room, and I gone to the little motel, and he's, how you doing? He's just, give me a few more. I appreciate you checking up on me. I'm going to be there. And so we had people help him come. And he had played on a stool. Ben always stood up, but he played on a stool for our set. And we had kind of a rowdy, rockin' fun soul set. Sean Patrick Martin on the drums, James Mason on the guitar, Ben, of course, on bass, and then Mike Zilas on the keyboards, and myself. And there's a final song that I love. It's Janis Joplin's song called Get It While You Can. And I thought, I'll just rip into it like I normally do. It'll be fine. And we were doing it, and someone got a shot. And I think I had my arm around him, and Ben had his glasses on, but he was kind of like singing, smiling, and he didn't sing, but he was kind of, I could hear him kind of singing with me. And there was just this energy fusion that happened. And because I just went into it and the band was really getting into it, he stood up. And I know standing up was really painful for him. And he stood up, and I knew we only had like 2 minutes left, but he was just like giving it his all. And even though I'm not sorry, even though it's painful, it is such an incredible moment of what music can do. I mean, this man knew that he was going to be passing, and he was doing what he loved. And although I was sad, it was also one of the most powerful moments that I had ever done live before. Yeah.
What a way to honor him.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And then his brother a year later, who plays the tuba, getting that bass, because, Ben had grown up in tuba bands in New Orleans. So his brother, Wes Rougeot, came to Christmas Valley and played all of his brother's parts.
On the tuba or on the bass?
On the tuba. Wow. To do that, to get that bass pushing that air, right, with everybody in the band. And they set up a Ben Rougeot scholarship fund that year. Yeah. So someone who wanted to go to school or music could go. So
that's so beautiful.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. So I think that is, I've played the Waterfront Blues Festival with Sonny Hess and all those folks. Not throwing any shade on that, to do that in front of thousands and thousands of people. But there was only like 300 people there. But that's not was the point. It was the point that this man, he was in a lot of pain, but his love of music and us grooving together, and he felt that connection and he stood up. Yeah. So I'd say that one.
Right.
It was 2013, just to give you context.
And then in terms of
17. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm not sure. I'm blanking on the time.
The dates are
I know.
I can't do them.
Okay.
No, I always say no judgment for public math here.
Very good. All right. I like that, Sean.
But so like getting back to like the last couple of years, right? Because I've seen you a few times on the Blues Showcase and like around the Portland area. Have you noticed a trend of people starting to come back finally? Because I'm starting to see, from my perspective in the audience, more people finally coming out from COVID. Have you sort of starting to see the same sort of experience?
Absolutely. It's, we were all sequestered for years, multiple years. And as we figured out, okay, we can go out safely. We're not going to die. We're not going to contract this. There was this, just like a desperate need to do that and to be able to dance and watch people live. So I would agree. I think that, the businesses, from the business side, there was clubs that didn't make it, restaurants that didn't make it, bands that didn't make it. I mean, Jeebsville, that was another band that Bill Mitchell, who you've had on this, and Dave Lucas, who's the bass player now of the Infatuation, and of course I got to say Fred Ingram on the drums, and then of course Brett Momquist as a guitar player. That was one that we couldn't. We played a couple shows outside, and then we just couldn't. We were going in a different direction. So even myself, that business decided to kind of to fold. But I think we all want to feel good. And when you're feeling bad, music makes you feel good. I don't care if it's metal, blues, rap, country. If that's your thing, if that's your jam, then that's going to make you feel good. And if you can watch people doing it live, doesn't get any better than that.
And I would throw this out there too, and I've been saying this since I started the podcast, like going out and checking out your local talents, the people that grew up and play music here. I can guarantee you, if you go to see one of your shows 2 nights in a row, it's not going to be the same show.
Right.
You have this flexibility and adaptability, it's going to have some similar music, similar songs,
right?
But you always have your unique spin in whatever the performance calls for you that night.
Definitely.
Is that something that you always sort of had to focus on?
If like we recently did in July, had 2 shows back to back, and we quite literally switch up the set list, so that's not the same. But even then, the room, the people, it's actual bodies. There is that physics of that's going to change the sound, and the room's different. But it's just, we're different people. Are we tired? Are we pumped? What are we bringing to the table that's going to change how someone interprets a solo or singing? Or am I going to brain fart some lyrics? Probably. And so then, oh crap, let's go to the bridge, everybody. They just know structurally we better go here. And that's the band having my back. Or, oh, there goes Geebs. She goes into the audience with the tambourine. Okay, we're going to have to vamp on this. It's that, I call it the politics of dancing, but it's also just that element of, ooh, I'm feeling it, let's do this. Or someone else is like, no, I'm taking the solo again, and great, go for it. So I think it's pretty hard to do it exactly the same, unless you're using machinery. And hey, I've been a KJ before. I'm not throwing any shade on KJs.
100% not. No.
It was fun. It was fun.
Karaoke is one of those fun pastimes. But that's about the level I'm ever going to get on the stage.
What's your favorite song?
Oh, Pet by A Perfect Circle.
Hey, all right.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love singing that one.
Cool.
That's one of my favorites. Yeah.
All right.
The one I favorite that I do like in front of people though is a Black Sabbath, War Pigs.
Holy mackerel! I'd love to see that one.
and I'm pretty good at the disturbed kind of vocal too, so I could do like the Sound of Silence pretty well. So
we got to get him out. We got to try this.
But that's the problem is my brain can't remember the lyrics,
and
I could never get past that point. Where that's just not how my brain works.
Yeah.
And I respect that.
Sure.
And because of that, mad respect to all of the music people, all of the musicians and singers that are out there who can do what you do.
Well, I mean, thank you, but I would say back to how I learned.
Yeah.
I hear where we're at in the song. I memorize too, and that pushes me. If I'm like, okay, I mean, sometimes I'll come in a little late because I'm like, where are we? And then it's just sort of like a Pavlov's, I don't know. It's like I just automatically.
Muscle memory, or
you make it up. You make up a lyric and make sure that it rhymes. Bing, you got it.
But you bring up a good point, though. Like, I'm curious about your perspective of the communication piece on stage. Was that something you sort of like were intentional to learn, or did it come organically the more times that you were on stage? Because you're really good at that nonverbal communication with your bandmates.
I think it's just an organic thing. Even when I was playing in that first band with a sequencer, with a machine, we still had live musicians. And they were excellent. It's not like you could hear the snare go like this and then you hear the live. They were perfect. It was really impressive. It's hard to play with a machine.
Yeah.
Because there's no flexibility. A human can bring it down. But anyway. Communication. I think I'm just naturally an overly demonstrative person. And so not wearing my heart on my sleeve, but on my face.
I respect that.
And sometimes I'm like, oh, I just gave the stink eye. I hope nobody out there, because I do. I'm like, ah. And that's not cool. Jeebs, that's not cool. But I think it is also getting to know the members and them getting to know you, and knowing that she's going to run around, she's going to do this. If the tempo changes, that gets my heartbeats per minute up, and it can push me, right?
Yeah.
And if it needs to be a little slower, someone, like I can look at Jesse and he's now like, I got you, I know what you want, right? And he'll start off the song. But that has to, we've only been together since December 25. So, 8 months. We're young in that regard, but certainly seasoned, not burnt to a crisp musicians.
100%.
That's the difference, baby.
I love that.
That's the difference.
And then something else I love to ask too is, so if you're on the stage, right, you have the obvious sign that people are into the music with dancing, but what do you look for when you're looking out in the crowd just to kind of make sure that people are into the music that you're putting out there?
Yeah. Boy, that's a really great question. When I'm seeing people dancing, it is their physical movements, but it's also what they're saying. And this is what I mean by that. I have this silly band on my head doing the 60s kind of vibe, and it's with some really strong magnets back here. And for some reason it wasn't staying. And I'm like, all right. And I threw it out in the audience, and there was a guy who grabbed it and he stuck it on his. It just kind of looked lopsided, and it was crazy. It made me laugh because he looked like Cheech Marin, like Cheech and Chong, right? He's like, hey! And then he started, woo, yeah, girl. He started giving me what I love. Woo, yeah, huh? And Mike will do a guitar solo, or, the rhythm section will do some kind of a breakdown. And if I hear, ooh, yeah, I'm hearing that they're into it, that the people that are taking this in, that are watching, are into it. And that's, it is a validation, but it's also part of that energy that I feel. So I'm listening for that too. I get it. It's the first set. People haven't had a drink. They haven't eaten their dinner yet. No problem. But hopefully within that first set, they did come to dance. So we're going to be able to urge them to get out. And I feel like I've failed if I haven't gotten people to dance in like 2 hours. I'm like, loser, but it's because I'm a dancer. And these people, these icons, like I said, James Brown, Prince, there's just so many that sing, dance, evoke this energy and this vibe, and you just can't help but, I want to get in there with you.
100%.
That is what drives me nuts, and in a happy way. Good way. Yeah.
And then another question too is about that sort of live performance piece, right? Because one of the things that we talk about ad nauseum in this podcast is the importance for a partnership between the venue and the musician, and how important it is to have that relationship. From your perspective, what is one thing that you like to see at a venue that makes your music sound that much better?
Oh, that they've actually thought of putting the band somewhere. That it wasn't an afterthought, man, like an actual stage. It's great if they have PA. Back in the day, you always had to hump your gear and all that. That was part of the thing. So I think having some stage for the band to be, I understand sometimes there's ad hoc, but then you can come into a club and maybe they don't have a stage, but we're so excited to have you. I can think of several clubs that instantly do that. What can we do? And I'm like, no, it's like, what can we do? But it's still this kind of welcoming. And I like to do that as well, especially if I've never been there before. So it's certainly a partnership. Back in the day, and when I mean back in the day, let's say 80s, 90s, even before, it was not the responsibility of the musician to get feet on the dance floor.
Interesting.
It wasn't, brother. Your club was known for having great live bands. And people would send out mailers and things like that, but it wasn't like it is now. Now a club will see, how many followers do you have? Who's going to come? Can you guarantee, that your people are going to come out to support you? I hope I made. I'm not complaining.
No.
I'm just kind of illuminating the difference.
No, and I'm thinking back to like my history as well, right? So back in the 90s, when I started going into music, we had this one club in Seattle. It was called the Fillmore.
Oh yeah.
That we knew if we went there, the music was going to be great.
Right.
And I don't even remember, and I'm thinking about it now, like, I have no idea how I learned that information. I didn't know, like, it was just one of those word of mouth that
exactly.
Somehow
we
got back to me.
We had word of mouth. Maybe there was a newsletter. We didn't have email. None of that. There was actual newspapers. Like in here, we had Two Louis and the Willamette Week still has some, but it was such an old school way of doing it. And now you can't just be a good musician, a good performer. Let's say you're excellent at all that. You need to have presence online, and you need to be guaranteeing, or bring in your folks. You're going to be the draw. Yeah. And that, when I realized that in Ma Fondue, I was like, oh, it took the wind out a little bit, because I'm like, how am I going to do this? How do you do this? But it's a new layer of being a musician. If you want to be a working musician, you do have to kind of find that. You just need to find like a compromise of that. And it's also like an appreciation. I try to remember every person that comes to my gig so that I can call them out and thank them. And it might be a little ridiculous, but it's also good for me and my memory to remember who came, what, they come and see you, but I'm supposed to remember like 300 people, right? You're not gonna. But I think it's just kind of a fun little test for me to do.
But I love that you actually do that, right? Because that's sort of like a testament to your character, right? Oh, because it's a futile exercise. You're not going to be able to, but you're going to try regardless.
But dang it, we have so many amazing places that people can go.
100%.
So thank you for coming and seeing our band. Huh? Right. Yeah. And I think that's just a little quirky thing that I do.
Well, and it's not quirky, but I wish I knew more musicians that had that sort of philosophy. And the reason I say that is because I know that there are a lot that are.
Yeah.
I know a ton, right? Just about everybody I've ever interviewed on this podcast has that philosophy. Yeah. But there's always that one or two people that don't have that philosophy and are wondering, like, why is my band not taking off as much as it is? Why this? Because you have to have that level of connection with your fans. Yeah. You have to and it's not even a have to. I think it's, you kind of should want to.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it goes back to, I think we haven't talked about it, but it's just being grateful.
Yeah.
Like, I'm grateful that I was drunk and 18 years of age at a house party that a guy said, you can sing. And he gave me that opportunity, which led me to my very first top 40 band, which led me to learning how to, deal with drunk people and the stage and the chords and wearing 4-inch heels and no bra and a backless dress. I'm like, why do I have to be so sexy? And I'm like, you don't. Oh, the stereotype of all of that.
Yeah.
So all those things are a combination of what I have here today. So gratitude. I have to remind myself daily. I shouldn't, but there are times where you just feel frustrated. We don't have enough followers. It's just natural and normal. But if you can go back to gratitude, then that'll help you.
Especially since one of the things that I have realized over the last few years is that we are way harder on ourselves than we would be towards anyone else. And we can get in that rut of being our own self-critic. And so for that reason, the question that I love to ask as well is, how important is that sort of positive feedback after a show? Because I keep hearing it, right? Mm-hmm. And I won't repeat this question the day I don't hear it. But I hear people like, I want to go up and tell her it was an amazing show, but I'm so nervous to go up and say anything.
Oh, gosh.
So can you add another person on this podcast that says that you also love it when people tell you that they enjoy the music that you put out there?
Oh, my goodness. Please, 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 please. Come up. Absolutely. I mean, the show that you see, okay, you saw it for an hour or 3 hours. But just know that it's not just hours of rehearsal. It's years of that musician's life, all of them. And button heads sometimes. And, oh, that was sensational. Meh, let's keep working on it until it is sensational. So when you come up and you say, wow, I really dug it, or, gee, I've never heard that song before, but I liked it. We love that. We love that. I love that. And it does not get old. It doesn't get old. And I mean, I wish he is an amazing podcaster interviewer. I have never done a podcast in my life. I have never been interviewed in my life. And Sean just instantly makes you feel very comfortable. And so thank you.
I'm going to use that in my promo.
Hey, there it is. You can cut that out. Let me make a little video. Sure. But it's very true. All of the years that you've been doing this allows you to do this. Instantly, I'm sitting down. Okay, we're just having a conversation, Sean.
Yeah, and I also recognize that it's not about me. This is about the musician. And I just feel lucky that I'm about to be able to be a part of the conversation and talk about things that we don't normally talk about. Because I get caught up and frustrated when I see a national podcaster who has this amazing musician on for 2.5 hours and doesn't ask a single stupid question about the music.
Yeah.
I'm like, how? How? Yeah.
I don't know. I think I have heard a couple of those. I'd be like, ooh, asking.
Yeah. Like, you're Marcus King? Come on.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Right. Because then that, I think, shows you beyond the personality, character, why. Why does King do it? Why does he do it? And that's exciting. And that's the human kind of common thread. Why do we do any of this stuff?
Yeah.
It's because it makes us feel good. Other people feel good. Sure, it might help you pay the rent or your mortgage. But I think it is that we want this circle of affirmation. I think it's truly, I believe that it is love.
100%.
We all want that in our lives. And even though you can watch a band and say, wow, they're really good, they're really mind-blowing, but it's because they love the craft. They love what they're doing. And that's on a plate for you right there. You can eat it up live. Yeah.
And then I'm curious too, sort of the live performing piece, right? So as you sort of go out in the crowd and you do your thing with your tambourine, I love what you're doing while you're doing it, right? Because you're not just in the crowd playing. There's something that you're doing. That's what I was talking about. Like, tell us a little bit about that.
So I see this big guy who's like 5'11". You know, I'm very short, so 5'11 is really tall for me. Anyway, 5'11", and he's kind of just standing there, and I'm like, and I'm shaking my tambourine, and I lean in, and I'm kind of shouting him, "Come on, brother! I know you can shake those hips." And then all of a sudden, he's wiggling and jiggling, and I love that. And then I see this smile come up, and I'm like, all right, I'm done. Let's go on to the next person. And that's all it is. I love when couples are doing their fancy steps, and I go right in between them. One of these days I'm going to crash probably, but I don't know. I can kind of sense when they're doing their thing, and I literally go in between, and they're just like, "Oh, you know." I really like breaking that barrier. I really don't like the us and them.
Yeah, it leads to worse music.
I mean, I don't know. I've seen, not going to say their names, incredible, legendary musician. The minute I say their name, you'd know exactly who this is. And technically, chef's kiss. I mean, incredible. Vocally, the guitar, everything. The band was killing. And after every song, and it's, 40,000 people or whatever, everything was, "Thank you."
And that's it?
And then go back to do it. And this person has like 4 decades of amazing anecdotal stories. Didn't say one. And okay, that's your groove. But for me, like, this one time in Woodstock, I mean, I would be like, come on, and make me endear, yourself to me by giving me that little humanity story note, or I vomited when I don't care. It's just something interesting and colorful. So.
And I appreciate that perspective too, right? Because if I want to listen to the album, I'll listen to the album.
Right.
If I want to go to a show, like I want something just a little bit unique, just a little bit different. And one of the things I appreciate about you too is you do have that sort of blues storytelling between songs. Is that something like that you picked up from the blues, or is that something you've sort of always had sort of in your back pocket?
I have not always had that. In fact, something happened when I joined Ma Fondue. I remember Ben's like, "Say something, Geebs." I mean, he wasn't in a microphone, but he was like, "You got to say something." And I was like, "What?" Oh, yeah. And it was interesting, and that wasn't that long ago. I just thought, I don't have anything interesting to say. And there's that negative thought, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not this enough. I'm too this and And slowly I started, and then like sometimes you can't shut me up. It's like, get over the hook, play the song. But it's really fun because, again, we're trying to share something with who we are. So
it's that moment of sharing the humanity between the music.
Right.
Yeah. Which is something I geek out. And so I'm curious, right? And this is one of those things where it's a question that no two artists have the exact same answer.
Oh, good.
So while you're up on stage,
yeah.
Do you rely more on the drummer or the bass player to keep time?
Oh, my goodness.
And it could be a combination of both.
I think I've always had a thing for drummers. Not that way.
Oh, I know.
I think I'm going to say, I mean, it is both, of course, but I'm going to say the drummer. And I think for me, if it's right on the groove, like the way we sing it, or if it's a little bit behind, a little too slow, the song drags. Or if it's too fast and I sound like an auctioneer, it's too fast and I lose the soul or whatever we're trying to say as a band. I'm going to say drummer. Love you, Jesse. Anyway, Sean, Fred Ingram, all the drummers in my life, Jerry Jaquays.
And then as you're on stage, before you get on stage, right? Is there something that you like to do or something you don't like to do so to make sure that your vocals are on point when you sing?
Have to go pee. So there is a diaphragm is a large muscle that sits just below the rib cage. You don't even know we're using it. You're using it right now, but it's flat. And then when you take a breath in, oh my goodness, when you take a breath in, it's flat. And then when you exhale it, and what it does, it's actually helping push the air into the lungs, which goes through your larynx So, which goes through your larynx, which goes through your larynx. The reason why I said that twice, these are vocal folds. And when that air goes through, it helps you produce your voice. So that diaphragm cannot have any extra pressure. I can't have a full bladder. And so for me, I have to use the bathroom, just make sure that it's really, really empty. I think talking to too many people just before, I like to have can I just have a minute or two? Because I get nervous. I get nervous every single time. And I'm excited about it. So there's an excited, and so I don't know about you, but if you're excited, you'll want to go pee. So I just make sure, just drain the thing. I mean, I'm not going to drink a big glass of milk. You'll get a lot of glippity gloppities. And as you sing, you'll, that type of thing. I definitely will have eaten quite a lot that day. I know that sounds so weird, but I'm kind of like a hummingbird. I got to eat something every 2 or 3 hours. Have you got a sandwich or anything? Just kidding. Just kidding. Well, but I have to really make sure that I have fueled up.
And I think you have to recognize too, the amount of calories you burn in every performance. You kind of have to sort of bulk up on food a little bit.
You do.
Yeah. And another thing I learned too is no diet soda.
Oh, I couldn't.
No diet soda before you sing, folks. I can't stress this enough. I had no idea how much it was impacting my voice until one day I didn't. And I was able to hit a few notes that I hadn't hit in a while.
Hey, it increased your range.
I
wonder if it's the carbonation. And
no, I think it's the sugar, the sucralose is slightly acidic.
Interesting.
I think it's like the equivalent of drinking lemon juice is what I heard.
Okay.
And I'll have to look up the internet after to see that's true. But,
Good for you. Good for you.
But so we're winding down, right? So we've been out here for about an hour now.
Oh, it was so much fun.
Right. So I want you to think about the future generations of music and musicians. What would you tell people who are just starting out so that they don't give up? Because this is not an easy pathway.
Stay curious. Stay curious of what you can bring to the table. Whatever genre it is, whether it's classical or metal, rap, or whatever it is, learn your craft, however you do it, whether it's in a book or, in school or just listening to the radio, however. But just stay curious about it. And whatever your instrument is, how can you start to put your own fingerprints on it? If you're going to write music, or if you're going to do top 40, whatever you're going to do, blues music is, 100 years old, but you still can put your own fingerprints on it. And I think that's really important. A robot cannot do that. An AI cannot do that, but you can. Yeah.
And then my last, most important question of the day, where do people go to find you and your music?
Hey, okay, cool. So it's infatuationband.com. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. Ooh, here it comes. Infatuation PDX is Facebook. I believe Instagram is infatuation_band. It gets a little confusing. But anyway, that's where I really want to do say that this coming Wednesday. Oh well, by the time this airs, never mind.
It airs 2 weeks from now. So
yeah. Okay.
Do you have a show in August?
Well, we have one next Wednesday.
Oh, it is August.
It's August already for the Cascade Blues Association Journey to Memphis. No. It will be in October. It'll be a Wednesday at Arrivederci's. And then also, that was October 14th. And I think October 17th, we're going to be up at the Skyway at Zigzag. Love both of those places. So, yeah.
And if you haven't had a chance to check Geebs out, you are in for a treat. It is an amazing show that you know for sure once you get there, it's going to be fun time. You're so awesome. But I need to say it's the band. It's 100%. The band. It's, Mike Zilas on the keyboards. That guy, okay, real quickly. We went to we recorded a couple of tunes that are on now our website. And Kevin Hahn, you're amazing, for sure. He was the engineer at Primal Studios. And, you have to listen to every single thing that everybody plays.
Does it sound good? Do we need to redo it? There was this one little part that it needed just a little bit of tweaking. And he's like, oh, we can just take this other part where Mike played and we'll just patch it in. You couldn't. Because every time Mike was playing something completely different. And that's incredible. I mean, I don't have the chops for that. Larry McCoy on the guitar, of course. He's fantastic. Jesse Broderick, who is our youngest member, but he's 19, but he's been playing for like 13 years. Well, I gotta do the math. Like his mom, she's so awesome. His mom's like, he's been taking lessons since he was 3. And then Dave Lucas, who's been with me with Jeebsville, is on bass. Just such a solid human being and really cool, incredible bass player. So I'm really blessed. It's the band. It's not just Geebs. It's definitely the Infatuation. Thank you.
100%.
Yeah.
And I'll end the podcast the way I always end the podcast, folks. Be kind. We all live on the same planet. We breathe the same air. And this world would be just a little bit better if we treated everybody with a little kindness and respect.
I'm gonna.
Thank you so much.